What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the TACkBox podcast. It is the big episode that we've all been talking about I think we've been talking about this one, Dale, since like episode 25. It's like episode 50 is coming.
50, it's coming. And we're going to make Jane make an appearance.
Yeah.
It just took 25 episodes of pressure, peer pressure, and pleading.
I had to call her and
guys.
see, she's here. I had to get on FaceTime, get on my knees and beg her, come on the show, please, and we finally got her on.
Be careful what you wish for, because here we go.
I'm willing to bet right now this is probably going to be the most watched episode of the TACkBox podcast.
Well, let's make it crazy.
Yeah, so this is all up to you. No pressure or anything. It's up to you. So we collected
another 50 episodes. We'll get her back.
If we don't run her off, she might be back at episode 100. We'll see.
There you go.
Goodness.
Maybe.
So we asked our Facebook friends and listeners, what questions they had for you, and everybody, Dale's feed just got blown up with people wanting questions. So it's like we have a list of a lot of questions, and I think you've pre-seen some of them maybe. So hopefully we don't sidetrack you with anything crazy, but we'll just jump in. And I want to start kind of at the beginning of you and your dog breeding, dog showing, your dog careers. How did you get into dogs? When did that happen? How did it happen? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think it probably started when I was just a kid, and my dad had a lot of Dog World magazines, and I always enjoyed just perusing those just as a kid, and just thought it was so interesting to see all the different breeds. And he had a Weimaraner, so he was very interested. He always had purebred dogs. And growing up, my mom had a little handful of Maltese that she showed. And we had different breeds, through our childhood. We had a Old English sheepdog. We had a Lhasa Apso, just, one at a time, never bred them, but, yeah. And if I went to school, I'd always have a copy of Dog World in my stack of books, and I'd be reading it in study hall and poring over all the articles. And it's really all we had back in the day. There was no internet. You could go to the library and try to find dog books, or, that was about all you had. So Dog World was a big deal. It listed all the shows that were going to be coming up throughout the nation. So you could see, like, when our family was on vacation, a lot of times we would take in a dog show, usually just to go watch, and of course we showed at the local shows, but the closest show for us was Fargo Moorhead, because we were in Jamestown. So it was about 100 miles away, and we would go to that. We went to that several times, and just to take it in, and
So your mom
get to a
showed
show.
dogs?
Yeah, she sure did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dog World magazine.
Exactly. That's all we had. And it was a big deal back in the day. And the show people wrote articles for it. For instance, there's a very famous Lhasa breeder named, and she's still around today, Berta Lombardi. She would write an article about Lhasas, for instance, and you could really learn so much. But my mom was an Ellie Mae. I grew up on a wildlife refuge, and she would always be bottle feeding some little wild animal baby all the time. As a matter of fact, she actually told one of the biologists the reason his tests weren't going right for the birds he was studying is because the surface that they were on, they were all just slipping around, and she would just notice things like that. And it's how all of us dog people are, everybody, all of you would notice that too. It's just, having the eye of it's kind of like being motherly. And she was really good at it. And I think that's where I learned a whole lot about bottle feeding and raising, and just the commitment it takes, and getting up in the night. And it was always fun for me.
So when did you kind of start? Were you like a teenager when you really started showing a lot, or when did you kind of your show stuff take off?
I didn't show very much at all. I got a Cocker Spaniel, and let's see, I was 17 years old, and I went to a fun match, in Rapid City, South Dakota.
You just moved there.
I had just moved there. I was going to go. Well, I did. I went to vet tech school there, and that was the summer before it all started. And I met Dale Martenson, who walked by me and said hello to my dog. And I said, I said to my sister, that man is gorgeous. I'm going to marry him. And then we laughed. And it was kind of funny because we hit it off. And yeah, he
Yeah.
grew my dog for me and he showed it for me. And it was so funny because we were green as grass
Yeah,
and so
no clue.
young and stupid.
So you were
We
pretty new to showing at that point then too, Dale?
Yeah, no, I had just
he
gotten
did obedience.
I had done obedience, and I just got my first confirmation dog, a Cocker Spaniel. So
Mhm.
but she had like a party color Cocker Spaniel, which was super cool.
And what's really
Okay,
kind
so
of
that-
cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the question that everybody's going to be thinking right now is, did you groom her dog to help her dog, or did you groom her dog to talk to her?
Both. Two things can be true at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So it was, there you go.
Right.
I mean, why choose?
I mean, just do both. Yeah.
Yeah, do both. Do both. Check. Yes. So yeah, and we started going to shows, and it was,
It's kind of a funny story. When we were so green, and everybody knows Jeff Wright, right? Very legendary Cocker person. Just the best breeder, groomer you could ever come across. And so we got up all our courage and asked him to look at our little girl for us. And he was so kind and so nice and funny,
Yeah.
he kind of let us know that maybe she wasn't the best quality
But it was
or
a
the
starting,
worst.
right?
Yeah. And he would say things like, I remember when he said, she has just a tiny bit of a low tail set, which is really bad in Cockers. That's a
Terrible.
terrible fault. We know now. And he said, and maybe if you didn't skin the tail quite so short, it wouldn't show quite so bad.
much.
It was just so funny.
Yeah.
We still laugh about that.
But he was very supportive. He could have.
Right. And he wasn't
didn't-
arrogant at all about
No,
it. He was
super
just-
nice.
Yeah.
Kind of gave us the.
You know
focus.
how he is. He just doesn't
Very-
break character. He's just a very nice person. But yeah, just lots of stories like that.
He's got a nice way to say pet home. Yeah. Without being so
Yeah,
direct. You probably should be a
Yeah,
pet
well,
home.
and people got people kind of give you information to kind of help you make decisions going forward. But then we moved to Texas.
Yes.
So did you guys
Well,
get
and there
married
was-
in South Dakota?
Yeah. Got
And
married in
Texas.
South Dakota. Well, we had to do it twice because my mother was a very strong Catholic lady and we were not going to live together. So we quickly got married. We got married before we moved because that was not going to happen on her watch. But I wanted to get married in the church. And of course, she wanted me to get married in the church. So the following year, we did that too. But we legally got married with justice of the peace. And then we could live in the same home and move to Texas. And this was our decision because there just were no shows in South Dakota and North Dakota, really. Because
So
how you
why
have to-
did you pick Texas? Because of
My sister
the
already
lot-
lived there. My sister already
Okay.
lived there. And so that was kind of an easy stepping stone. And I already got a job down there as a vet tech with a huge boarding kennel. And he got a grooming job. So there, Arlington, Texas is a big place and it's easy to get jobs.
Yeah.
So far more so than South Dakota,
And tons of dog show opportunities and all that. It was just huge, and it was 12 months of the year. I mean, we didn't close up shop once the snow fell and come out again spring. You could go all year round. So that made a big difference.
That was attractive to us. Yeah.
And so when you moved, did you just have Cockers or did you have multiple breeds?
We had a couple of Maltese, and we had the Cockers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was kind of the first big in for both of you guys for the Cockers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
The chin came later. The chin.
Oh, we'll
came
get to
later.
that. Yeah, we'll get to the chin.
Not much
yeah.
later.
Yeah, not much later, but a little later. And then the Cavaliers a little after that.
Okay, so let's just talk about the chin then. How did you get into chin? I think a lot of people probably know the dog, but what is your, Jane's point of view of how you got into the chin?
The way I got into chin was our first chin. One of our Cocker friends had a ring conflict with her chin. And so she gave me the choice. Do you want to show the Cocker or do you want to show the chin? And I'm like, chin. I'll try that. That looks like fun. And so I just had so much fun showing him. Asked Dale to I asked her if he was for sale, and she said, "Oh, I'd sell him." And so, yeah, that's what I asked him to buy him for me. So that was our start.
Yeah.
And so I took him home and finished him, and just really had fun doing it. And then he probably wasn't very good. He was a bigger boy. He had a little more nose, but we didn't know any better.
No, we
And
just thought he was cool.
I was 22 years old. So, don't, but we figured it out.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Hey, everybody. Sorry for the interruption, but I just need to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast network, wherever you're listening to this right now. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit a thumbs up button. Make sure you show us that you like this content, that we're doing good. Help us grow. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Now back to the show. Well, it's kind of like whenever I can look back even when I started, and it's just like, oh, yeah. I finished that dog. How? I don't know. I don't quite know, but we did. And so it's like when you're first getting in and you're learning breed standards and everything like that, it's like you got a little bit of blinders and perception glasses on, where things might look a little bit better than they are when you're a year or 2, 3 down the road and you're looking back at it and like, interesting what I thought was quality,
Yeah, that's so true. Well, for me, the attraction was the grooming. I always say washing a chin is like washing your hands. That's why all of our dogs are washed every Monday and Friday. All of them. The chin, just Monday and Friday. That's just what you do. You wash the chin, and it's quick, you know. And compared to a cocker, I thought, oh, this is where it's at.
So easy.
That literally ruined me for cockers, to be honest with you. I was done. I was like,
the grooming.
I'd have quit cockers a long time ago if it wasn't for him. He just stayed in it. And then I just kind of enabled him and helped him. But the chin had my heart. I was just, mm-mm.
So you got one,
don't
and it
need
just
to
kind of
go
had your
through all
heart from
that.
there. How
Yes.
did it grow? How did you grow from having
Well,
a
it's
one
funny
chin
because
into a bunch?
Dale had flown up to Alaska to go to shows as a handler.
Mhm.
He bought a couple dogs. That used to be the way.
This we saw we refused
Finish
to
them up
finish
in
him.
Alaska. So he went up there and had some dogs and ran into Carol and Michael Benson. And they were very gracious and talked to him about chin and showed him all their chin. I guess he went to their home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came home and he said, we are starting over. This ain't it.
Yeah. We got on the wrong train.
In
Yeah, that's how
Texas, in our area, nobody was showing chin in the groups. No, there was no really good dogs to learn from,
No.
to be honest.
No.
I mean,
And you take the knowledge you have from one breed, your first breed or whatever, and you just kind of apply that to the next. And that's one thing that's kind of like what was important in a good cocker: strong movement, balance, top line.
not too leggy, not too long.
Right. The shape and all that.
Pick
And then we
balance.
just applied that to that's your dog show basis of knowledge. And you apply that to your next breed. And in some ways that's good, but in other ways, like you have to learn the breed type and you have to learn the things about that breed. You can get to a modicum of success using
Yes.
but you really have to kind of dig in hardcore and find out what makes that breed that breed.
But I tried a lot of breeds. Was when you go to a lot of shows, you get interested in breeds. Like, let's do Pekingese. Let's try a few Shih Tzu. Let's do, it's just kind of like a drug. I'm going to try this. But you just couldn't beat the chin.
Yeah.
They're just so beautiful. And
Nice to live with.
the history is amazing. I'm still learning more about that.
So how did the Tennessee come into the picture then? You guys were showing chin for a while, and how did that? Because that's really the first cornerstone to your program, right? Was Tennessee?
Yeah. I'll let you tell that.
Well, we were at shows and we had friends that showed Pomeranians.
Dear friends.
Very good friends.
Yeah.
Super good friends. And we were all set up together, and their chin was a little shit ass, and he didn't want to walk on lead. And that they had just bought from some person at the kennel club that had a litter. And we had a couple, and we enabled our friends like going, oh, well, we like their chin, and our chin all walk around the lead because Jane had them lead broke. And their chin, they just thought it would go, and it didn't go. then we got him going. We got him to walk, and then, and he won, and that's when they said, "Well, do you want to just take him because he's this isn't the dog for us. It's not. It's going to take too much time getting him, in training and all that." And that's how we ended up. We took Tennessee home for the the sum of $0 and 0 cents, and kind of made the whole breeding program off of that dog. That little dog that we lead broke at the show. And but he
I mean,
was a
that's crazy thinking about when, just like how that happened and you think about what it did for your program and what it did for the breed in general, what that dog did,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
I
it
guess
just happened. That's how things organically just happen. A lot of it isn't a big plan. It just kind of opportunities present themselves, and if you're not afraid to take them, you don't know where they might
Yeah.
end up.
so. I'm just gonna keep tying questions in as the conversation is going, because some of them just play off of each other. So as you're growing your kennel and you're getting more and more dogs, you've had a few breeds at this point. Like, how do you keep your house from turning into a kennel?
We always had grooming shops during our working years. And so we would always take the dogs with us and to the grooming shop, practice them, groom them, whatever. But we also always had a kennel. I'm sorry, I'm not a big house dog person. I'm not. I do one at a time, one dog at a time. That's all I can do. That's all I can, that's all I want to do. I keep up with it. Um, I always took my dogs to work with me, you know, and we had a lot of handling clients. We were handlers too. You have to remember that. We had Cocker Spaniels to handle for other people. And really, that's almost like having four breeds because there's all the varieties, all the colors. So you could easily have 30 dogs of other people's in coat that you're responsible for. You're always five a day. That's what we always said. Take five with you a day, and they would always get bathed, done out. Nobody was ever allowed to mat. So we tried. That was our goal. Just don't ever let anybody mat. And so that was just our life. We just had our dogs with us. We had a few that we were breeding ourselves. We had the client dogs, and then we had a couple toys. So we just had to have a very organized kennel. And one luxury we always afforded ourselves,
Always.
no matter what our financial status was, is kennel help. That someone's full-time job is cleaning every day. Everything gets cleaned. And that's not my job, it's not your job. And if it is my job, I'm not doing anything else. So that is one thing we've just always had and always will have. And matter of fact, the people we have now with us, as few dogs as we have, we're a lot smaller than we've ever been. We've had that family for over 25 years with us, living with on property. And it's just, to me, it's worth it.
No, that makes sense.
If you're a serious show person or going to try to breed, there's so many aspects to it of keeping the dogs, maintaining the dogs, the paperwork, the vaccines, the training, the socialization. You just can't do it all, and nor should you just try to do
I just
every.
won't.
Yeah, I mean,
It's too hard on your mental health to just every day be spinning your wheels and never get any further than the day before. To me, that's all you're gonna be doing. You're just gonna spend all your days just cleaning.
yeah, then you start shortcuts start happening, and then
Mhm.
things get you're catching up and stuff. So it was something that we always figured into our budget, just like anything else. It's like, well, we had to have people to take care of dogs, but that way we could go. That's the way we could do everything, and we could stay ahead of all of the other stuff. It's like we wouldn't get bogged down, doing that because we had everything else to do, with the dogs. And so that was the one thing that we could pay to have done, and we did.
I think it was, and for us, it was important.
Definitely priority.
Yeah.
How long did you keep showing then as a handler?
What, 18, 20 years, something like that we showed our other people, and then at the point where we just kind of got so involved with the boarding and the grooming, it's kind of like we just did our own for a pretty good
I wanna
stint.
say probably late, maybe 97, something like that. It was about the end of it.
Yeah, By 2000, we had the last dog we really
We were
special.
really trying to back out of it.
Yeah, we special that involved other owners and stuff. And
Grooming shop blew up. It was a little big.
it
So it
was,
was, we
yeah,
were really busy because one of the best groomers in town, old time poodle groomer, passed away. So that's when we kind of pounced on that.
yeah, we had all the business we wanted, and it was kind of enabled us to do different things to
Mhm.
maintain a little bit of a balance because having a kennel and breeding dogs is not necessarily the exact same thing as showing dogs. It's like
No,
two entirely different worlds. This they kind of meet in the middle sometimes, but
mhm.
you
Yeah. But it's all can be done. It just has to be scheduled. Like our grooming shop was a little unconventional because we were closed on weekends. We went to shows and our clientele understood that, you
When
know?
I think a lot of people think of like dog breeders, and it almost thinks of like, oh, it's a 9 to 5 job. And I keep reiterating so much is it's like in toy breeds. You mentioned it even earlier in this conversation is like waking up in the middle of the night, it's like, so how have you found ways throughout your career to manage the 24/7ness of it? I know you've mentioned you have kennel help, but what other
No.
things?
Yeah, the secret there is to have really good moms. Good moms. If a mom can't do that first 2 weeks, these aren't bulldogs. We're not getting up every 2 hours, okay? So, if Chin, I think, are the very best moms. They are such great mothers. I mean, ours have been.
know.
Most are free whelpers and just do a really good job with the babies, and there's not a whole lot you have to do that first 2 weeks. There's no getting up at night, as far as to have to actually intervene. So I think that's the secret, and if one of them's not a good mom, I probably wouldn't breed her again. She doesn't wanna be a mom? No.
I think the whole from the wildlife refuge and the incubation and to bringing that breed of what kind of geese was that they brought
The
back?
illusion.
The Aleutians, they brought
Mhm.
that back. I think the appreciation of productivity and strength and health is being as much a quality as the quality,
Yeah.
and probably more
Maybe more
important,
so.
maybe more so,
Yeah.
than the actual, the ribbons don't make that happen.
No. No.
So
Yeah.
what when you have a litter of puppies and you're looking at these little cute fluff balls, what age are you kind of starting to pick out like show prospects, or what are you looking for right away? When do you kind of see it and how do you go about that?
Sometimes you see it right away. Like with the chin, of course, it's head. If they don't have a good head, you don't even need to continue. So you'll know usually right away, depending upon the family line. We've bred out a couple times that fooled me a little bit, thinking, I don't know about that. And then they would come together, which our dogs hadn't done that. They were kind of like Persian cats. They're either very extreme at birth or they're not. It's nothing talented to see. Anybody could see it. But, yeah, I'd start with that, and if something's really pretty headed, watch it really closely, make sure when they're tottering around, when they're about 4 weeks, make sure that tail's slammed on the back. Yeah.
I look at the ones that Jane picks up, because if she goes and picks them up, that means
I
that
pick
they've
them all up.
but the ones you pick up the first, the ones that you
Yeah.
like are walking around and holding, those are the ones that kind of pass the
I
cute
do
meter.
that sometimes, I'll say, "This is mine." That means don't worry about it, it's
Don't
staying.
sell that.
Don't
We're
right.
keeping that. Yeah, yeah,
So
that
that's
kind
how
But
of
you know.
everyone
You're
does
just
that.
like, yeah,
just
yeah.
watch and see. Uh, but I think the other thing is that when people are together for a long time, you each kind of bring a different, aesthetic to what you're looking for. Like Jane was always so on the symmetry, the balance, the look. And then I'm being a sporting dog person. I just wanted to see them charging around the ring with their heads up and they're flying and like that. And I think that in a little bit of a way, you become the same in some of that stuff. You still have your own things that you look for, but the other day had something out there, and she said, "Oh, the front on that, give me some yarn that could make a sweater." I was like going, and then I'll look at something and go, "Well, that's just too ugly." I mean, and you kind of start picking up on things from each other, and you kind of meld together.
It's good to have more than one set of eyes, I think.
Yeah, and a different perspective, and
Mhm.
yet that yet you'll end up on the same decisions eventually after you do
A lot
things
of
together
time.
a long time. It's like, I mean, she can tell like when I like a dog, or she's like, oh, well, you like that, and that kind of thing. You know, yeah. I mean, it's like you begin to see each other's taste, what you like.
Yes,
Do
that's
you
true.
this is just super random. Do you ever plan on showing Georgia?
No, Georgia's spayed.
So
But
Georgia's
CFA
not a show
does.
cat. There you go, everybody. Everybody wanted to know, is she gonna show Georgia? It's like,
Well, she
Well,
no.
could show in premiership. CFA does allow that.
yeah, that's probably not gonna
And
happen.
and the other day she did jump into the bathtub.
She did do that.
She does enjoy a bath.
So she
That
could do
very
dock diving. You know what I mean?
only if there was a retrieving aspect to it. Yeah, I think she
Yeah.
could.
So what's kind of the day to day look like for you, Jane? Like, what in the kennel? What does that kind of look like on a day to day basis?
For me, I like to get the puppies out on lead. I it's especially now, it's really pretty weather, and we've had some bad weather and got a little behind. But yeah, that's my favorite thing is just to go take them out and play with them and get them walking, get them up on their feet and mess with them, get them on the table, play with. Yeah, that's really important to me too. I don't like when puppies haven't been on the table. It's so much easier to not fight that. A puppy that learns that late in life is very difficult to teach that too.
So what age are you starting that like lead breaking and table training?
Chin very early, 6 weeks. They better probably be outside on lead. Cavaliers much later. They do better a little bit later. They can do 10 weeks. It's
See, and
one
I think
thing
that's
they can follow you around. That's great. Get them used to. Our setup is we've got a big paddock, and that's what I call recess. They we make sure all our dogs run out there every day because it just makes them the muscle build up. It's just good for their minds. It's good for them to just run and run and run. Just let them run. And for me, I like to watch them out there and see how they're developing, see who's got the attitude, you can tell a lot from that. You would never want to choose a puppy without watching it run just on its own accord and see what its personality is, see how it carries itself, see how it interacts with other dogs. It's it's an advantage, and that's fun for me too.
I'll tell you one thing that I have learned the importance is with if you have animals and all that, you need to be a morning person because that's one thing that's like you have to, because sometimes when you have dogs and stuff, you have to be a little bit of a self starter. You know, you might not have a job to be there at this time, but that doesn't mean you don't need to take advantage of all your daylight hours.
Mm.
We, and because of Jane, and I'm now a morning person too, but getting in there and getting going first thing in the morning. And it's amazing by halfway through the day, got a lot done.
Got a lot done. Because you should take care of yourself too. Like he runs in the morning, I go to the gym. That's important. I think if your mental health, your physical health, and as we're getting older, it's important. And then, we got all day. We can take the dogs to Tractor Supply. We can take the dogs to Harley Davidson. I learned that tip from one of the exhibitors said that they're very welcoming for puppies. And I thought that was really smart. There's lots of places you can take them. And it's really fun
It
because I
is.
like to shop anyway. It's just
Yeah.
a good excuse to run it down.
Yeah, but I mean, in the mornings, that's when we're like going to give shots. We're going to
Yeah,
do this.
there's
We're
always
going to
something to do.
microchip paperwork, all of the stuff, the planning of the whole thing.
Even with us slowing down and having a lot fewer dogs, still, there's always more you can do.
But by 5 o'clock, we're done.
Yeah,
Done.
that's our rule.
It's like there is really. I mean, we might whelp.
Well,
If
of
something's
course,
gonna have
something could happen.
puppies,
Yeah.
sure that can go after hours. That's its own schedule. But
But if you
for our
have
plant stuff,
things that you could have done earlier, I think that I feel like didn't use my time wisely. So I really do try to treat it like that.
it's like by 9 o'clock, they're in the tub, they're in the things are done, things are going,
Yeah.
using those mornings is just a great time. And also, like with our temperatures, the dogs get to be, you get them
Yes.
out at 6 o'clock, they might have 4 or 5 hours where they can really, yeah. And you wait till 10 o'clock to come dragging out. It's already, you've already missed a good
It's
chunk of
not
your day.
fair. It's not fair
Yeah.
to them. It's
Yeah.
not fair to you.
Yeah, and that's like some of that stuff I know, and that like one of the reasons why I hate living in South Dakota is like you can't get the dogs out on lead for 6 months of the year because it's so freaking cold out, and that's super aggravating.
It is. I know. I
And
remember.
yeah, and you're right. Yeah, you guys have that experience. What was the transition like from the grooming shop to like you had this business that had to do, and then you did that, and then you went to just being full time breeder, or what was that? How did that go?
It wasn't really any different. The grooming shop, usually we would do all of our grooming and then do the show dogs and then travel to a dog show and drive all night. That was us in our youth.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of aged out of it, I guess. And
A little bit. Yeah. And
then we just wanted to show our own dogs.
yeah, we kind of got enough other business. It wasn't really, we just kind of worked
For
on
a
our
long
own.
time, we had our grooming shop and it was up and running and we owned it, but we didn't run it. So it was a gradual, just retirement kind of phased out of it.
But what year was it we sold the dog, down in the boarding camp in Cleveland? 2012. Yeah, and that's when we moved to Oklahoma, and it was just our dogs and just what we wanted to do because kind of started our retirement from all that, but just so now we just do our own dogs, when we want to, however we want to.
Mhm. Yep.
What did you think? Like what was your role and thoughts behind Dale becoming a judge? Like, were you pushing him to do it? Were you like,
No,
"F no, you're
no,
not
no,
doing this"?
no, nope. I don't weigh in. I just support, if something makes him happy, I'm happy to do what I can to make it happen or, certainly not get in the way. I think anybody who's ambitious, hats off.
We enjoy it, and I think that probably the travel and stuff, I mean,
That's what I like.
yeah, we enjoy the travel aspect of it and going to see the dogs and seeing the people we
I
know.
love watching the dogs. It's so everyone's like, "Aren't you bored?" I'm like, "No, I'd be doing this anyway." If you ever showed with me, you would know that's always where I was, parked right ringside watching the dogs, usually with my exhibit in my lap, making them watch too, because we were both learning. You just you can learn a lot. The dogs learn a lot by watching too. So
And that
that's
was one of
for
the
me,
questions,
I
like,
enjoy it.
what's it like going to the dog shows with Dale? Because everybody knows that if Dale's judging, Jane's probably gonna be there. And so
Yeah.
Definition,
and
we're codependent.
Well, not
yeah,
really. You know what it is for me is that so many years, there was a good chunk of years where I ran the grooming shop and he went off and showed. So he got to travel,
Right.
which I always admired him for because I think it's hard, but I also was probably envious a little bit because that's you get to see more and meet more people and, be more social. And that's awesome too. But, we needed money. So I had to run the shop. That was just part of it. So
somebody's
now
gotta make the money.
yeah. And so even after we sold the shop and we both got to go to shows, I just enjoyed that. So
Yeah.
if we can, we like to do that because it's fair to both of us.
Yeah. And we get to see the things that we're interested in. And we do make
Exactly.
time. We go somewhere, we look to see if there's something we want to check out and do when we
Right.
get there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Like when he judged in Lexington, I just Ubered over and went to Churchill Downs and did a bunch of tour of homes. And, if it's a city like that,
Yeah.
there's a lot you can see that you wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so. So yeah, it's a win-win.
As long as you don't
Well, we
mind
can.
flying, it sounds like it's great.
I Not a bit. I enjoy it. I do like it. And I think getting older, I have probably more of a drive to do everything I can, see everything I
No,
can
that
see.
yeah, no, and that makes sense. How important at the shows is it in your mind to be supportive of, so like you guys do Cavaliers, Japanese Chin, like how important is it to be supportive of the breed? Whether you see groups and you see a chin in the group and you're like, oh, I don't really like that dog, but we're a small breed. We need all the support we can get. So like, how important to the
I
breed is
agree.
that in your?
I think it's everything, and I think that most of the successful people in chin are definitely the way you're describing. I think that it's such a small breed. We're so recently on the scene of being group competitive that we're very supportive. I think why not celebrate each other? Maybe you didn't get the win, but you can certainly celebrate and, you know, genuinely be happy for that team. Why not? It's absolutely fabulous. I'm so proud of all the people that have specialed their chin. I mean, it's hard, it's expensive, you know, it's not easy. And yet they're doing it. They're holding their own, they're winning. I think just, we're going to be gone soon, right? Nobody remembers who you are after you've gone, but they're going to remember the breed. And I think if you can leave it in a better place than you found it, that's a win, you know? So celebrate your fellow exhibitors, celebrate your competition. Why not? Everybody, I want everybody to win.
On the perspective of it too, I mean, it is a competition, and and nobody is any more competitive in the moment than myself. And I think anybody that handles
No.
dogs is like anything to win, throw out, throw down, slide into home, whatever. But sometimes it's kind of good to have a perspective of, you're getting to be here with people, you're getting to do what you like, you're getting to spend time with your dogs.
In
It's
the scheme of things, it's a very small thing.
Yeah, I mean, whether you win or whether you lose, it's not that important.
No.
They're gonna do it all over again next week. You got another shot at it. I think having perspective is really important, and
And have fun. Can't
enjoy it, have
Yeah.
fun,
You can
laugh
be
about it.
miserable, you can badmouth all
Get
the
caught up in the
time.
drama. There's drama to be had at any given time,
And
but if that's where you wanna live, then I guess that's
mhm.
okay, but there's a lot of fun too, and you could do that
Yeah,
as well,
I agree.
My perspective changed very quickly on it because I remember I was at my very first show and no idea what I was doing, and I didn't go to groups. Like, I didn't go watch groups, and I remember a handler chewing me out the next day because I wasn't there supporting her chin in the groups, and I was like, "Well, I didn't know you were supposed to," like I was so green, I had no idea on anything, and I think now my perspective kind of looks at it in Japanese Chin when we're in such a small breed is like almost like a team sport. Like my single accolades in the ring, whether I win breed or not, like cool. But if we can get Chin as a group getting representation in the group ring, getting placements, that's
Exactly.
only going to benefit me as a handler breeder long term
Yep.
because the Chin themselves are going to get recognition on a national level on a bigger scale. More judges are seeing them, more judges are putting them up. It's becoming okay in the long run, that benefits me because it's helping the breed get out there more. It's going to help long term the breed to get placements and wins. And so I've kind of tried to think about it that way. And I love seeing, whether I win or not, or I'm even at the show or not, I like seeing Chin getting placements and just
Absolutely.
celebrating their
Absolutely.
Because it's
successes.
not always about us, is it? Not always. It doesn't have
I
to
mean,
be.
no, it's about the dog,
Uh,
really, and,
Mhm.
and,
It's about
and
our
our
that's the
breed.
breed.
that's the magic of it. If what you're doing is about your dogs and about having a good time with them, you're going to be successful.
Yes.
You're going to enjoy it. You're going to
Mhm.
have fun, and gosh, there's like
Yep.
and I think that's one thing that like Jane has, like her friends that have been in dogs. I mean, you got relationships going back as long as we've known each other, and they're still friends. And we've competed against some one loss, blah blah blah. You
Right.
know, but those relationships they last a lifetime.
Yes.
How do you manage that? That's another question. Like, how do you manage? You got the relationship side of things. You got competitors. You got a husband who's a judge that people are like, "Ah, he didn't put me up, but you still got to play the friendship. How do you manage all those friendships and relationships with competition?
I think, to be honest with you, people have been so lovely to me. I have been so lucky and have had such nice comments, such wonderful support through the years. Our family, our dog show family, is just good quality people with good character. I really think overall, I think the majority really, you know, they have my best interest. They understand. They meet you where you're at. They know my position, what I have to my life, what it looks like, who I am. Accept it, don't accept it. You don't like his judging, you don't have to show to him. We can still be friends. It's fine. It's kind of like that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. That's just I think how we all feel. We're just happy to get to do it. Happy to be healthy, happy to be, you know, get to have these dogs. It's such a blessing, you know.
And I think that part of like in our figuring out how to raise them and stuff, we are more than willing of all the different things of like on our weaning stuff and all the
Mhm.
things that the challenges that we found, we share it a
Yep.
lot. I mean, we're all the time talking to somebody about a puppy and how to help them with their weeding and because it's an ever learning thing,
We're
it's like
always learning, aren't we?
how to do it better.
Yeah.
And if you can save someone else's litter, wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Right. We've been
Well, and I
lucky and
think that
had some. Oh, go ahead.
I know that's kind of one of the keys that you guys just mentioned. I think is one of the keys to any success is just like always be learning. I think some people think that, oh, I've been doing this for 25 years. I know the ins and the outs. I don't want to hear anything different or I can't learn anything from this person. But I think keeping an open mind to always be willing to learn is
Yeah.
like a huge key to just being around long term, but also growing your program and yourself as a human, right?
Right. Exactly.
You can take things away from every situation, good or bad, but things that you can turn around and go, "Oh, just watch how that went," and and apply it to what you're doing. I think it's kind of amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
and then like, you know, with our like with the chin, we've worked really hard on figuring out how the weaning because that's a challenging part. And Jane got really good at hand feeding and figuring out the protein issues and how what the different things that they needed to keep them to help them over that hump to make them survive
Mm.
and that kind of thing. It's I think been just keeping those records, which probably goes all the way back to the refuge and keeping records. She's always writing litter stuff down on the litter on the files on the dogs like how the litter went, how the birth weight, what they look like, were the markings good, all of that stuff. Keeping those records super invaluable because you'll forget.
Yeah.
You'll totally forget.
Right. And it could be
Yeah,
very
it's easy to
specific
think
to
you'll
that
remember
mother.
now.
Yeah.
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 Mhm. It's
How
just
have you
part of
seen
being a breeder.
the dog shows change over the years, back from when you first started showing to where they're at now?
Well, if nothing else, the placements, right? Used to be just best of breed, best of opposite, right?
Winter dog,
Winner's dog,
roosters.
winner's bitch, best of winners. Done. That's it. Now look, there's a class for everything. Everybody gets a trophy.
There is a bit more participation reward type thing that probably was that, and
It's a lot
that's,
more for the judges to have to keep straight.
yeah,
Yeah, there's some
it's
shows
more,
I was at and they were rewarding fourth place in like classes, and it's just like we don't need to do fourth place in classes. Nobody cares.
Well,
Nobody
you
cares
might
about
care
that
if you
ribbon,
knew.
but maybe, yeah. Do you have any aspirations to do any judging? Like, has that ever
No,
crossed your mind? No?
no,
Okay. All right. Jane does not want to be a judge.
no, not at all.
we couldn't afford her opinion.
Is there any breeds that you find interesting that you've never had that you're like, if I were ever to get another breed, it would be this one?
Not really. I think that I've kind of went through that in my youth and I've settled into Chin and Cavaliers. I think that that's my sweet spot. I do think the Russell Terriers are cute. I will say that. When I walk by them, I just look at them and think they're just so adorable. Don't need one, don't want one, and it would make no sense for me to have one. However, I'm going to say they're cute.
I think that
Now,
going to the dog shows,
when
I think
people
when you
see
go
you
to
at the show, they're going to walk by with their dog and they're gonna be like, hey, Jane, look at this dog. Cute, huh?
yeah,
Good. Let me hold it.
Yeah. So I think going to the shows sometimes it kind of puts you in a grandparent position where you get to like
Yeah.
enjoy these breeds and not actually have to have them.
Right.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
this go over and like, oh, that's super cute. I like, oh my gosh, look at how adorable that Chihuahua is. Beautiful palm. I don't need them,
No, don't
but
have to
sure
have.
do like seeing them. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You'd be happy for them to have them.
Right.
Much the same as grandkids. Aren't they adorable? Take them home now.
That's right.
But
Yeah. Do
well,
you
once
ever
you
have
find a
any
breed
like
that you
you don't show too much anymore, do you?
Well, we were up until we were judging, weren't
Yeah.
we?
we've got some
But
shows planned this year. We're gonna do
And
something.
We
and
don't have very many weekends off where he's not judging, and when we do, it seems like there's not a nice show to go to a lot of times, like just a nice quick local.
But we got a couple of months this year that
We're
are,
gonna find our way. We're
Yeah.
gonna find our way back.
it's a balancing thing now
Yeah.
too, because but we
It's
have
a time thing.
it's time exactly.
We've got puppies. I'm training up a little band of gypsies, and I'm ready to take them out. But
We gotta be where
so
we
would you
can,
prefer now to get in the ring with a Cavalier or a Chin? Like what would be your favorite?
oh, I don't know. Depends on what mood you're in, I suppose. The chin are always easy. I always enjoy the chin. A little less grooming.
The Chin are easy for her because she works with them, and that's the thing. And even like when I was, this was going back like 5 years ago. I asked her, I said, "Well, why are we free baiting him, teaching him how to stand?" And at that time, before she had her hip replaced, she's like, "I don't want to get down. I don't feel like I can get down as easily as I could." And so that's one thing. Like when I judge now, I make on all of my stacking evaluation, I want to do on the table because I figure that's fair to everybody. Everybody can put their dog on the table and stand back. Some people can't get down. Now she's getting down great and stuff,
Yeah.
But I was kind of noticed. I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you training it that way? So it's like you figure out how you can show your dog. And
Yeah.
like we see people showing them in scooters. It's like, wow, that's so good, to be
So
able to
great they can still participate.
yeah, and the extra
Very
work
well too.
very well. I've seen
These
like do
dogs adapt to
great,
so fast.
I mean, that's part of exhibiting is kind of figuring out how you can do your dog
Right.
and how that changes for you,
Yeah.
throughout your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What drives you to continue breeding and growing your program? I know you've mentioned a couple times you probably have the least dogs now as you've had in a while.
Yeah, it's not
What
growing.
yeah.
It's
So
not
maybe we'll
growing
just
at
leave
all.
that question out. Like what drives you day to day to keep going?
I think probably success is a big driver of continuation. I think just for me, I love animals, always have. And I love looking at the puppies and having done it so long, I can see the pedigree. When I look at the dogs, I can see my past dogs in the upcoming puppies. And to me, that's exciting. I enjoy that when that kind of just hits you between the eyes. It's like, wow, there it is. There's that front there, whether it be good or bad, just little traits. And I think that's probably keeps me going as much as anything, just the sheer beauty of the dogs.
Do you see that often where it's like
Oh, absolutely. And we'll see it in like our dogs. We usually incorporate part of their names of our favorite dogs. We'll incorporate in that in the children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and you'll see
I'm
certain.
going to say, and I'm sure I bet most of the successful chin breeders find this is true. The judges will tell you, I knew the minute I saw that entry, I knew that you bred that dog. Get that all the time. We've always gotten that. And it's funny because they'll have an eye for it. They'll see that looks like one of your dogs, and they'll know. It's just so funny
That's
to
very
me.
addicting too. I mean, it's like when you've kind of got when you've made your mark and what you're kind of working on, and that mark can change. You can work on different things at the same time because you're always improving.
I mean, you guys have had a lot of success breeding best in show winning dogs. So is that an addiction too? Is this like we got a best in show
No,
winning dog out there right now? We got to produce the next one, and like that's not an
not
addiction for you
not
at
for
all.
me. Not for me.
Never been for her.
Couldn't care less. could
Yeah.
not care less. I
Wow.
appreciate it. I think it's wonderful to be acknowledged. That's great. If a judge likes your dog and they're going to award it, great. If they don't award it, I don't feel differently. It's just probably because I'm not as competitive.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I don't care about, you know, I think at first it's fun. We're going to run this dog to number one. We're going to kill ourselves and go to 8 million shows. That was us. We've done that. No, that's not us now.
No.
I think you figure out at the end of the road, it doesn't.
There you are.
There you are. No, you didn't get a pot of gold.
Yeah.
Nothing really changed.
It's not a really,
It's not rewarding enough, to be honest.
I guess the idea is like, you have what's good. And at some point, it doesn't matter if anybody else knows it or not.
That's just going to irritate them.
It doesn't really
honest.
matter. It's like,
They're not happy.
it's good.
They're not going to be happy for you, probably.
If you know it's good, you can enjoy it. And it's everything we've ever had, whether it's a ragdoll cat or a donkey or whatever, we've always tried to get quality animals, and we like we appreciate quality, And but if someone else likes it, that's awesome. Of course, it's someone like telling you your kids are cute. If well, thank you. Yeah. But if they don't, you're okay with that too. Doesn't change what you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a campaign, and I think people put more value on a campaign than it probably warrants.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily push the top quality to the top.
No.
The best campaign will, though.
Yeah, there you go. Advertising pays, it works. Who comes up with the names? Is this like collaborate? Oh, okay. Because, it's like, that was a question everybody wants to know. Because it's like, Dale will post a picture and I'll be like, oh, Popsy Pop Tart, or, this dog. And it's like, who comes up with these names?
Hey, some days are better than others.
She does all the names and all of that stuff. And then I'll go, oh, that's a cute name. I like that. But it's like,
the best name I ever came up with was a little chin, and I named her Touches if the shoe fits. And her name was Cinderella. So I thought that was super cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we had pictures of her with a glass slipper and all that. And then, of course, I had, all the things that came down from that. And we've had lots of fun dogs with good names.
Names are fun.
Yeah. It kind of can tell, you can read the names and you can kind of see the story of the dogs that were bred through there, who came in from where, and
the
all that.
Yeah. The ties that bind.
Yeah, exactly. That is what makes the thread, It's more than just the kennel name. Because kennel name just means that was owned by those people. But I mean, the family of dogs and stuff that can be in there. There were lots of Tennessee names, lots of bird walk and all of those like that. Names are cool.
Yeah.
How do you decide what side to play off of? Or is it just kind of whatever you feel like mom side, dad side, just kind of whatever you feel like doing?
Who has the catchiest name to go from?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it kind of, whatever dogs are most influential in your breeding program at the time, those are the ones that kind of set the theme, which ones are kind of, turning everyone's eyes and stuff.
The thing I hate is if I come up with a really good, what I think is a good name, is probably for debate. And then maybe that puppy doesn't turn out. I wasted that good name.
No, it's like, oh, dang, I had such a great name. Yeah.
I know. It kills me a little bit.
No, you could phone it in like my mom did. How about Dale? That'll work. Sure. Why not?
Please, I'm Jane.
I mean, but Dale and Jane just go so good together, So
I don't know about that.
All right, a couple quick questions to end out this episode. What advice would you have for new fanciers to the sport?
New fanciers? My advice would be, don't get sucked into the gossip. Don't gossip. Really. I mean, I have had so many people, they tell you something about your friend and they think you're going to tell that friend. It's so, I want to say SHI, what. It's just terrible. And so I think that the gossip should end with you. I think this would be good advice. You're going to go to the dog shows, you're going to get caught up. Be careful, be careful. Never repeat something unless it's complimentary to somebody because it's such a trap, and it's competition. They're all competing. So they're all doing it. Be the better person. Don't make that why you go to shows because there are people who go to shows just for that. They feed on the drama. They're on all those Facebook groups just hoping something is, controversial and they can't get enough of it and waste their hours of their days. I think it's terrible. So that
Well,
would be
yeah,
my
and
advice.
and it's great advice because as the new person, everybody wants to put something in your ear, and you're gonna whatever
Mhm.
you hear about Sally from Pam, Sally's gonna say, something about
Right.
Pam. It's like
Right.
everybody wants your ears because you're the new person, and they want to make their impression
Exactly.
on you and
And that's
and
what's going
recruit
to
you.
happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're going to hope you do some fool's errands and bring that bad news back to that person. And that's kind of how we are. Like I know that there are times where some of our friends probably got hit as new people at the dog show by other exhibitors who probably were competitors. And when they don't come back to me with the garbage, they're family forever. I'm like, that is a character person right there with a very good character. And I I value that in a person.
Because it means you don't want to disrupt your peace. And I think that that's one thing that you can either have your dogs in peace or you can have your dogs in chaos. And if you have a peaceful existence with your dogs and just keep the chaos out, you will stay in it and enjoy it for a lifetime and find people that enjoy it with.
And
Yeah,
part two of that question, I think, get some good mentors, even if they're not in your breed.
that's true.
Um, my mentors were not in my breed. Dr. Laham just taught me a whole lot, and a lady that showed Weimaraners
Karen Sanvold.
really had all the formulas for breeding that you never hear about that today. Where she literally had a little booklet that she had written, and it was invaluable to me. And who'd have thunk it? You could have just dismissed that person because they don't have your breed, but utilize if someone's willing to teach you, let them.
No,
Watching.
that's it's
You
superb
can
advice,
watch and
yeah.
learn.
And be kind. I think that would say that too. There's the security guard at the dog show watching the door, bring him a water. Dale's always doing stuff like that. Just thinking of
Well,
things I wouldn't even think of.
well, they're volunteers. People are volunteering. It's
It costs
amazing.
nothing to be kind.
It's amazing to us. I am finding like in the shows that we've gone to that these clubs, whole club, putting on renting civic
Oh
centers,
yeah.
hosting hundreds of dogs there, and it's like 4 people with the combined age of 400 years old, and it's it's like they're just it's like wow, they're doing all of this, and it's like show a little appreciation because nobody is getting way ahead for being a volunteer
Yeah.
and doing all that. You know, they're trying. Maybe they're not the greatest ring steward you ever had,
Right.
but they're there. They're there. They're trying. They're doing the best they can. And you never really know what anybody's struggling against at the
You
time.
don't know.
You don't know what they went through to be there that day.
And the other side of it then would be what advice do you have for new breeders? People are just getting into breeding. They want to grow their program.
Advice for new breeders. Mentors would be probably my number one thing. It takes so long to judge a breed, right? The things they have to go through. I think you should have to go through that just as long before you actually buy a dog, before you're actually breeding something. You need to learn. Now there's no excuse. There's all kinds of national specialty videos on YouTube. Just watch them. Watch as many as you can. Talk to as many people as you can and see who you're comfortable working with. See who's showing dogs that you think fit into your ideal. Learn the standard. Learn from them. But yes, I definitely think find a mentor, protect your mentor, defend your mentor. Don't take your new show puppy and go to the show and slam it up on everybody's grooming table and say, "What do you think? I got it from Barbara." You know? And they're like, "Oh, no." And watch, everyone who slams Barbara has a dog to sell you. It's
Protect that relationship.
yes, and I think protect your mentor.
Because they're a volunteer too, you know.
Don't run back with all the bad things they had to say about them. That's not helpful. Just say, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in having this conversation. And just don't put yourself in that position to get their opinions either. Once you've committed to somebody, stick with them, and
No, that's
give
really
it
good advice.
at least give it a try.
We heard something the other day that we both thought was pretty good. Someone said, I need to have them manage their expectations. I think the
That's
expectations
fair.
is like, like we never expected to win. We never expected that. I mean, we figured we got the chance, but your expectations should be, really kind of think out what exactly you're asking for that person and for that dog and for what this all goes. Like, keep your expectations in line,
Yeah.
to that type of thing. I think that's a good spot to be in. Go slow.
Go slow.
Take your time.
You're not going to.
It's not a race.
I think a lot of people think they're going to buy a special. It's like
Buy a special.
It's
Yeah.
a 12-week-old puppy. It's not a
Pick it off the tree.
special.
Yeah.
Specials are made, not bred.
Yeah. And an investment of time.
Yep. It's all your training and grooming. And you already did the research to get the right bloodline. So
the investment you put into that dog, making it into a great dog,
And that's a lot of the handlers you'll see. They'll do that. They'll take a dog and just drill it to the point where it's a great show dog. And that's a gift.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever get tired of watching Clint Livingston show a dog?
Oh my God, no. Oh my God, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
He's so good. A lot of them are that way.
Yeah. Like just the rapport that they've got going on with their dogs.
Absolutely.
That's really that's the next step up of the quality dog.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's funny you say that. I watched him show a dog one time and everyone else had stopped showing their dog and were watching him in the line. And I was like,
you're doing it right.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
Like, stay focused, people, You didn't lose yet.
I think that dwindles down my list of questions. Dale, do you have anything that you feel like Jane needs to tell everybody, or any questions that you have for her?
Well, I think that I think she brings a great perspective to our sport, and I think that she's kept us in a good place, and even my competitive demons and all that. It's like, I mean, it's having a partner that can kind of keep the train on the tracks and kind of keep you in a good place is pretty key. And and I think that that's one thing that we balance each other out with. Pretty important.
That's well, I want to congratulate you guys on your 50th.
Oh my gosh, we made it! And here's the thing. So everything that Dale said about you goes to the podcast too, because I remember in like episode 5 or 6, and it was like Dale pops on a ring light and a background because you watch the podcast and you're like, you need this to be successful. So it's like so it's like you've played a big role behind the podcast scenes too that everybody doesn't know. And so
I'm just proud of you guys for doing it. It takes a lot of courage, really, to put yourself out there.
Hey, we've been here every Tuesday for 50 weeks in a row. Can you believe it?
Yes, it's amazing.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
So,
we'll keep it up.
All right.
We owe it to our people that have watched us. So we appreciate them.
Good viewers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And the people that see us on YouTube, they get to see our haircuts and our unibrows when we have them, and everything is like they just get the whole package. So they get to see the running shirts, the South Dakota shirts, and everything. So
all of it.
All right, thanks, Jane. Appreciate you joining us. I know everybody's gonna love this episode, and we will talk to everybody very soon.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you've made it this far, you've made it to the end of the podcast, and we extremely appreciate you for listening to the whole episode. It helps us grow. It shows the algorithms that you're engaged with the TACkBox podcast. You're the best of the best, and we appreciate it. Don't forget, we come out with a new episode every Wednesday, and we would love for you to continue to join us. Also, hit us up on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, the TACkBox Podcast. We have the page. Like it. And send your questions in. Help us grow.